Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Jeremy, founder of QuickMail.io.
And this is Jack from emailsthatsell.com. Today, we've got some teardowns for you. We're going to be reviewing a few emails that didn't make it to my inbox or Jeremy's inbox. Today, we're going to the B2C industry, and I stole a few cold emails out of my wife's inbox. She's a wedding photographer, and the emails were good enough to throw on the show. And Jeremy and I have got some notes in front of us, and we're going to go one at a time. We've got 3 for you today. Let's dive into it, Jeremy. What do you say?
Yeah, I'm totally eager to go over them. I mean, I don't want to give too much away. Let's go for it.
All right. The first email. Spoiler alert, this one's my favorite. Probably Jeremy will say the same, but let's read it.
Yeah, I was saying about not giving too much away, but okay, fair enough. The first one is awesome.
All right, here we go, guys. So, subject line says, upcoming availability. And it goes, hi, Michelle, smiley face. I came across your business on Facebook, and after taking a look through your portfolio, I wanted to reach out and introduce myself. I work with all the wedding photographers in region market over here at Wedding Wire and was blown away by your work. The photo below is my favorite, ! And she pasted in a wedding photo in the email. It continues, now that we're in peak wedding season, I'm looking for a few new, fresh, and qualified options to put in front of the newly engaged couples reaching out for engagement sessions and 2019 to 2020 wedding dates. Are weddings a big part of your business? Do you still have dates available for 2019 and into 2020? We see an average of 4,000 unique searches for photographers in your region each month. Does not include traffic to brides.com or weddingbee.com. I'd love to see if you'd be a good fit. Do you have time next week for a phone appointment? Feel free to give me a call directly at phone number. I look forward to your response. Best, Emily. Okay.
Whew.
Mouthful.
One quick note is the picture of the wedding that they actually took it from your wife's portfolio, right?
Well, here's the thing. That photo, and I'll describe it because this is a podcast, so you're probably wondering what the picture is. It's a photo that was on my wife's Facebook page, but it was both the best thing about the email and the single thing that stopped her from getting a reply. And I'll explain why when we get to the photo section. But let's take it from the top, Jeremy. Notes on the subject line. It says upcoming availability, ?
I absolutely love the title, actually. It's a non-threatening one. It's kind of a quick question. If I read that, it's just like, I'm going to have to answer, am I available, yes or no? For me, it's not that hard. So that's an easy one. I will go for that.
For me, this was a little bit sneaky because that's sort of what a potential customer would email her with the subject line.
Mouse and whisker.
But the reason it worked for me was because they were asking, do you still have dates available for 2019 and into 2020? So I'm going to give it a thumbs up. I like it. Okay, so let's move through. We're in the intro section here. It says, I came across your business on Facebook, and after looking through your portfolio, I wanted to reach out and introduce myself. Anything in this first intro paragraph to note, Jeremy, from your side?
It answers the question as to why me. You know, that's the first question I have always on my mind is like, why do you contact me? And I think this person does a really good job at doing that. They came across that Facebook stuff, whether or not it's true, is interesting. And I think that's why the picture is going to probably reinforce one way or the other. But I really like that. It really answers the question. I want to read more and then see then, okay, so what? It's kind of the next question in my mind at this stage. What about you?
The only thing I would have tweaked, since they're zeroing in on the wedding photographer market, I was surprised that they decided to say, I came across your business on Facebook. I felt like it would have been even more personal if they said, I came across your wedding photos on Facebook, and after looking through, they just had an opportunity here that they missed to get it ultra personalized for this.
Do you think you're just nitpicking at this stage, Jack?
Yeah, but it's a teardown. That's what we're doing today.
All right, fair enough.
All right, let's keep it moving. So I work with all the wedding photographers in our location. So they put the name of the market. And I'm working over here at Wedding Wire and was blown away by your work. I thought that was a perfect place to throw in a compliment and to add in the fox and the crow idea here, where it's just compliments help generate conversations, get that reply. So far, so good in my book.
Two things about this line. Yeah, sure. Fox on a Crow, episode 19, for those who don't know. It's about complimenting whoever you're contacting. For this line in particular, I do like that they're mentioning the region in which your wife is.
Yeah.
I think that's great. That's very personal. That means like, I'm not blasting everyone.
Playing the local card.
I was kind of a little bit like taken away by, I'm working with all of the wedding photographers. It's like, obviously not, since you're contacting me, right?
Good point.
So I would probably say most of the biggest one, maybe something like that, or, most of the market, or, like something that is not necessarily including everyone if, I'm not included in, kind of thing. That's kind of like, oh, I just love your painting, but I got the painting from everyone else but you, kind of thing. So a little bit on that. But I was blown away by your work. It's awesome, especially that the next line is, this picture below is my favorite, with an exclamation mark and the picture. So to me, it's just like a very nice little intro. I want to read more. I want to hear what they have to say really about this at this stage. I think I'm sold already.
Up until they wrote, this photo below is my favorite, exclamation point, I would say this is going to get a reply. In fact, after speaking to my wife, I know it was, but the photo could have been their most powerful thing they added into this email, but instead it totally backfired and lost them to the reply. The reason for this is there's a good lesson here. The photo they grabbed from my wife's wedding photography Facebook page happened to be a photo from our own wedding that she posted there, like sort of just to let people know it was like a story on our own wedding. So if this person would have seen, Michelle's photo, if she actually did spend time on her Facebook page, she would have known that she was in that photo that she just dropped in, so she couldn't have taken it, right? So you see how it backfired. And after that, she knew it was automated, and it sort of soured the conversation. So there's a good chance this process is being used by Wedding Wire. Just, they got this template, they're reaching out to people in given regions, they're grabbing the first or a quick photo from their page and moving on to the next prospect. If this is a process, I'm not saying that they're doing a horrible job. Just be careful what you select, because you don't want it to backfire, because this is a really well thought out email.
Yeah, when you're using Fox on a Crow and say how great that person is.
Yeah.
Of course, if backfires, it's kind of like a bummer, right?
Exactly. So they should have maybe had a process in place that double checks the photo that they use. That would have probably gotten them maybe some business here. But
I want to clarify something. Your wife is a photographer, a wedding photographer or not?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So they picked up one random picture, you think, out of all the pictures, or do you think they just picked up the last one, kind of thing?
That's a good question, Jeremy. I couldn't tell you with certainty how they grabbed it. Your guess is as good as mine for their process.
Yeah, an apology for not knowing how wedding photographers work, but can't she actually take pictures of herself, kind of thing? Or we always need someone else, right?
I don't think so. Yeah, that'd be tough.
They can't use this excuse anyway. They're in that market, so I'm not.
Exactly. Wedding Wire should know.
Oh, okay, well, that's a shame. Okay, fair enough. So I guess from this point on, then, since it's kind of insincere at this stage,
they blew it.
Then it makes the rest of the email a bit harder, right?
Yeah.
It's a harder sell. But let's go through it, because I think it's interesting.
Okay, cool. So let me take the ball here. So they said, now that we're in peak wedding season, when you start a sentence like that, they're bringing in scarcity to the conversation here, meaning if the recipient of this email waited a few months, they might not get in on this offer. So I thought that was a great place to mention the timing of the message. It just makes you want to reply a little bit quicker. What else do you have on this paragraph, Jeremy?
No, it's awesome. You nailed it.
After she mentions that we're in peak wedding season, the email reads, I'm looking for a few new, fresh, and qualified options to put in front of newly engaged couples reaching out for engagement sessions and 2019 and 20 wedding dates. Are weddings a big part of your business? Do you still have dates available for 2019 ended in 2020? Okay. Another thing that they did a great job of is notice they're selling an advertising package. Like that's what Wedding Wire does. They get photographers and other wedding vendors to pay money to be on their site, and they get referrals and leads, right? But instead of saying, would you like to buy some leads for your business? Instead, they're switching the question and they're framing it so that it says, do you still have dates available? If so, I'd love to see if you'd be a good fit. And I think that's brilliant because it's not a hard sell and they're mentioning this opportunity without seeming pushy. Instead, it's sort of, we want to make sure it's right for you. I think they did a great job with that.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of having like two questions, one right after the other. I do love the awaiting a big part of your business. And this is another influence factor here at this stage is consistency. Because if you say, yes, this is very important for me, then theoretically you have to carry on reading the offer because that's important to you.
Right.
So you kind of like let the prospect qualify themselves. I really like that.
Let me jump in. I actually didn't love that question.
Yeah?
Because the whole email is about the fact that she's a wedding photographer. So of course, weddings are a big part of her business. That is her business. So it feels a little strange.
That's a fair point. Maybe the angle could have been more about, I'm contacting you because you're a great photographer. I've seen you've done some weddings. Is wedding a big part of your business? I think that will be a great angle.
It could be, but just be careful because that would be like me writing to you saying, Jeremy, is cold email software a big part of QuickMail? Okay, I guess I'm nodding my head, but you're making me a little confused. But anyways, so we pick up the email. It reads, we see an average of 4,000 unique searches for photographers in your area each month. Does not include traffic to brides.com or weddingbee.com. Thoughts, Jeremy?
At this stage, we're really moving into the sort of like objection handling, because I may actually look at them proposing something to me, and then I'm thinking like, are they really that big? Do I really need to bother with them? But what's strange here is I think they're trying to package too much at this stage. They have a really powerful intro, and I think now it's just going downhill. It's like they're trying to cram as much information as they can into one email. That's definitely due for a follow-up. This kind of point could very easily come into, in 2-3 days, if they haven't replied, then I'm going to think, what kind of objection could go in their mind right now? Or it could be that maybe I'm perceived as being too small and not being worthy. And then I can say, oh, by the way, I just wanted to let you know that, we've seen like 4,000 searches in search region
this month.
And that will go over my objection. But I got the feeling that at this stage, it's almost like they're desperate to add as much information as they can because they're running out. Maybe their software got, limitation on number of characters or stuff like that. It really feels like forced at this stage. Like it's just too fast, I would say.
I'm with you, Jeremy. And the nice thing, if they did break this email up into a few separate messages, they could elaborate or build on this stat a little bit more. Just another sentence that said, that means if you get 4,000 unique searches, you can expect about 500 people viewing your page every month. And that way they can translate this feature into a clear benefit that a wedding photographer would be interested in, or could easily equate that into more customers, more sales, more of an end benefit in mind instead of just throwing in this stat that may not be as impactful alone.
Yeah, so I would have stopped this email already earlier before even coming into objections. And I probably would have thrown some CTS or call to action with something around, are you currently searching for new clients? Or curious to see if your acquisition strategy involve inbounds and not just outbounds. Or, those sort of thing, like helping them, pre-qualifying them and warming them up to potential getting leads from searches. Because here at this stage, we are really coming into the realm of, okay, that's just me being selfish, and that's my offer, and I want you to buy it. There's no communication. At the beginning, it's really Fox on a Crow, fantastic for setting up things, and then it becomes into me kind of thing. Disappointing.
Yeah, so break the email down. And that also is going to help make this email a little bit easier to read. I know when I was just reading this on the podcast a few minutes ago, it was a mouthful. Like you almost had to catch your breath in between the paragraphs here. And as Jeremy and I have gone over before, the idea with cold email is not to cram everything into one long message. It's about follow-ups. It's about keeping your emails to the point. We've got a few more lines here we're going to go over and then wrap this email up. It says, I'd love to see if you'd be a good fit. Do you have time next week for a phone appointment? Now, Jeremy, you spoke about the call to action, asking if they would be interested in more wedding leads or just changing the call to action from do you have time next week for a phone appointment to something else? But I want to point out this is actually a weak call to action because they say, feel free to give me a call directly at, and then the number. That's not something that needs a response. It's just feel free. And then the email just winds down with, I look forward to your response. Best.
Even before the call to action, the line just before is like saying, it's all about me, actually. I'm complimenting you on your work, but it's actually all about me. And I'd love to see if you are a good fit. And not, I'd love to pick up 5 minutes of your time to see if this is something that would actually be beneficial to you. That will be more about the reader, but then here it's just all about the writer. It's like, I got no time now. Let me just be straight to the point. It's all about me kind of thing.
So, Jeremy, I feel like we've covered the text well on this email. I want to wrap this up with the links included, the signature a little bit, because for those listening, there's, I would say, just a quick count, 6 links throughout this email. Most links are in the signature, but there's also one just below the sign off where it says, discover why thousands of wedding professionals trust Wedding Wire to grow their business. And then that's hyperlinked twice.
I like that.
Is this a good thing to throw in?
It's like a mini case study. Yeah, I think it's okay. I've always been a big fan about answering a few questions very rapidly as to why are you contacting this person? What is it really that's going to benefit? What's in it for me kind of thing? And then after that, if they want more, they can always like click on the link and then get more information themselves. And that includes maybe if you're selling a sort of character or your persona online, then maybe that's a link to your LinkedIn profile so they can go and link and check. I'm a big fan of always the pull approach versus the push one. So it's almost like, yeah, I'm just putting it here. And if you're interested, then you can go and look at it. And people who love your offer and already are interested, they can do 2 things. Either they can get more information because that's in their nature to know more. Maybe that's a link, a mini case study that actually shows how to get over some of the objection that people have. That's great. Or they will just reply. So, it's like one of those 2 if they're interested. So I don't have anything against that. I think I actually quite like it. I think it's very respectful of people's time, rather than cramping it all into the first email. It could be done through follow-ups. That's probably what you would favor, Jack.
And if I was putting this campaign together, I would be interested to get an alert whenever somebody clicks that link because it tells me they're interested. They're sort of a warm to hot lead at that point, and I would pick up the phone and give them a call while they're on the website, ideally. I know a few sales reps who monitor clicks in their cold email campaign and pick up the phone frequently, and they say it makes a big difference, ends up, sort of moving things along a little bit quicker without wasting time calling every prospect. So anyway, I would be interested in that. There's a photo in the signature. I think it's good. It sort of humanizes the email a bit. Is it great for deliverability?
And it's a professional photo as well.
Yeah, it is. And again, they're playing the local card. Their address is not too far away from who they're emailing, in this case, Michelle's business. So yeah, I'm a fan of the rest. Good stuff here.
Cool. Let's move on to second grade type of email. Now, what's interesting is that this is the same type of emails, right? It's still reaching out to the same sort of business, but from a different channel and different approach.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be obvious to you guys, the different level of quality here.
Let's give it a read. Subject line, found you on Instagram. Hi, I found company on Instagram and wanted to reach out, ... My name is Jeremy, and I head up business development efforts with my company.
It's not me.
We recently launched a new platform that's been generating a lot of foot traffic for small businesses through their Instagram account. Our service targets and engages with people in your area who are local to the community and engaging with your competitors online. I know our platform could skyrocket your Instagram following and get you more customers. Care to discuss possibilities? Thanks. All right. Hard to read that one after going over the first cold email today. Jeremy, I want you to kick things off. Tell us thoughts on subject line, or just in general, the approach here.
Oh, that's going to be tough. Okay, found you on Instagram. It's could be interesting. It's like, I'm kind of curious. It's like, so what? Okay. It's kind of weird because usually we don't reply on why me in the subject line. So in this case, they sort of like did it in the subject line. I personally think it doesn't work as well because remember, a subject line is a contract between you and the reader. So there is no contract in found you on Instagram. It's like, so what kind of thing. But fair enough.
Right. Nothing major on the subject line, but the intro, it says, I found company on Instagram and wanted to reach out. So they did a good job personalizing the company merge tag, although it would have been a little bit better if they got more specific here. So why not mention, I found company Instagram while looking up wedding photographers.
I like that.
Wanted to reach out after I saw your last post. Okay, I mean, that's not great, but it's already better.
Yeah, or they could just simply add the first name, which they didn't have.
So this is a campaign that lacks specificity, customization. It's not personal, so it already feels crappier than the email we just went over. So let's dig a little bit further. My name's Jeremy, and I head up biz dev efforts with my company. That whole line we've talked about, just toss it. They have your signature.
Yeah, 100%. It's
okay.
One of the mistakes that people still make in 2018.
In fact, even if I know that we tend to default and write for ourselves, write with our interests first, but even that aside, mentioning that you head up biz dev efforts with the company, you're just letting the person know that you're in sales. And therefore, I think people put their guard up a little bit. I'm not sure there's a single business development person that would do well by throwing this selfish line right after the intro of a cold email. So there's a lot of reasons to toss this.
If you think about it, actually, he's just saying like, hey, I just found a lead on Instagram. That's you.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you read the email, that's exactly that. And then he goes about like, hey, my name is X, I'm Y, we did X. I think it's going to be great. It's going to be huge.
Yep.
It's just like, okay.
It's rough. Let's keep it moving. He writes, we recently launched a new platform that's been generating a lot of foot traffic for small businesses through their Instagram account. A couple things here. A new platform. I have no idea what it is that they have to offer, how this works, what it is, right? And then two, generating a lot of foot traffic. Well, some businesses that aren't brick and mortar could care less about foot traffic. So choosing that word here is just another way that this writer sort of shot himself in the foot. Instead, no pun intended, instead of maybe saying has generated a lot of customers for photographers through Instagram accounts. That would have been much better. So clearly not personalized enough.
One thing that is super interesting as well, and I only probably just realized it right now, is a lot of people who do a startup, for example, always get excited about that new venture they got and stuff like that. But they tend to think that this argument about something new and fresh applies to the customer. But that's not always the case. It's like, if you read this sentence, it really looks like they're saying like, because this is new and fresh, that's interesting for you. But in fact, it's only potentially going to be interested to people who are super early adopter or the people who are desperate or don't find anything that works currently, which leaves you to a very tiny market. So I don't understand this emphasis about this is new and shiny kind of thing, because quite honestly, people don't necessarily like, they prefer more established stuff that works. So grain of salt, people think of that.
A couple more lines. It says, our service targets and engages with people in your area who are local to the community and engaging with your competitors online. I'm going to give him half a point here for mentioning that their potential customers are engaging with your competitors online. That sort of struck a nerve with me, saying, okay, maybe this is working for other people that could be gobbling up the customers or gobbling up the market out there. So that was kind of interesting, but still too vague for me to really get excited about.
Tough game at this stage. I'm not reading anymore already.
It's just self-centered. Let's wrap it up with a call to action here. It says, I know our platform could skyrocket your Instagram following and get you more customers. Care to discuss possibilities? Jeremy, I heard when you were reading through this, I heard a bit of a chuckle on this line, I think.
I like the skyrocket.
Yeah,
it's just like, we just recently launched something that has huge potential, and that's basically, that's smoke. There's just nothing.
So we know that, our listeners know that. Any tips for improving this single line here?
Yeah, totally. It's like, I don't necessarily think people should hide the fact that they're brand new to the market or they have something new, but they have to put it into the context. They have a few things they can build on at this stage then. They could use the fact that they want to work very closely with their customer for a long-term relationship and making sure that they're going to get the best ROI, otherwise they're going to be refunded, or those sort of things that actually say prioritize relationship with the customer long-term to sort of like offset the risk of jumping to something new or spending time trying something new.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people miss this opportunity and just base everything on a novelty kind of thing. But in this case, if it says like, we're looking for 20 people to work with because we're still very small, we can't really go with 100 people. We're looking for 20 people in your region to really engage with on a long-term basis and then really help them grow their business. We haven't really figured out all the things or we haven't figured out maybe the price, or it's not for everyone. I would like that better. It may not be applicable to your business, but can we jump on a call, maybe 5 minutes, and then see if this is something you would potentially benefit or be interested in? I think that will be way more powerful that way than saying like, the potential is huge. It's, it's going to skyrocket. You're going to be, it's just like, nah, come on.
They could have also said, P.S. at the very least, after a quick call, I'm happy to share our best Instagram marketing tips with you so that you can, figure out hashtags finally, or, see how others are getting a couple thousand more followers each month.
Yeah, and I tell you what, actually, I use the PS exactly close to what you were saying when I was starting QuickMail at the beginning. I say more than happy to recommend another program that I know of, if you're not a good fit. And I did. I remember I recommended Yesware when people needed like a lot of high touches and very personal stuff. I think that didn't apply very well to automation, and therefore it kind of makes sense better for their business. So when you're small like that, play those cards because you won't be able to play them when you're bigger.
Okay, I think we've gotten the most out of this email. Are we ready to move on to the last one, Jeremy?
Yeah, I don't think the last one's going to be very long.
It's a classic what not to do cold email. It's always helpful to refresh yourself with sort of the baseline or even worse cold email that's out there right now, just to make sure you can check yourself, make sure you're not following any of the same steps that the garbage cold email are doing out there. And I'm sorry, William, I know you wrote this with hopefully some care, but we are going to trash your email here a little bit. Subject, and this is the first email that my wife received from William. The subject is re:2x your conversion rate. So don't put re: if it is your first email. That's tricky. Talked about that enough. Don't trick people.
Don't start the relationship on a lie.
There you go. Okay, so the message dives in. Hello, my name is William, and I'm an AI expert. We build social media selling systems optimized specifically for your business. I would like to speak with a person responsible for marketing. If that's you, can we schedule a 20-minute video call next week on Monday or Tuesday to show you how we can help your business? Best regards, William. Okay.
I'm surprised there isn't like dear sir or madam, as a first line.
Yeah, I mean, hello, comma is the next worst to dear sir / madam. All right, Jeremy, why don't you take us through a couple? We won't spend too long on this.
AI expert, seriously, it's like, what does that mean for me? If the target is like a photographer, it's like AI is probably, it doesn't really even register to concern that they have on their mind. So I don't really know what that's supposed to add.
For me, along the same note, Jeremy, the subject line, 2x your conversion rate, to a photographer that is not in charge of creating their ads, monitoring their ad spend, or optimizing their website, they might not even know what a conversion rate is. So although...
Oh, that's a fair point.
It's fundamental.
Lots of jargon.
It may make or break your business, but your customers, a lot of times, they might not even care what their conversion rate is. They just want to know how many customers can you bring them for how much money and carry on. So be careful that your world is not revolving around your prospects. So you may need to take a walk in their shoes, do more research to really speak their language. I can assure you getting more wedding customers would have been far more interesting than 2xing a conversion rate for, at least, I could speak for my wife's business on that.
I guess one small tip I can give you if you're in that position where you're having like too much jargon and people don't really reply to your email is grab one or two person that represent your target and then have a conversation, explain them what's your advantage, and then have them tell you what they understood. and then use their sort of like wording. And they probably won't come with, oh, so you're an AI expert, right? They will just say like, oh, so you can trick Google to get more search. I don't know exactly, but
yeah,
that's the sort of thing that you will get. You will get a non-jargon
response
back at you. And then there's chances that you may get offended. Very smart people get offended when you actually don't use the sort of like expert jargon kind of thing. But you'll be closer to your market and therefore get more sales.
You have to be humble with this because even if you know it's best to do XYZ, it's your customer who gets to tell you how to write at the end of the day.
That's true.
Last thing too, if you have your perfect prospect in front of you when you do explain to them what you're selling and you sort of get this glazed over look, you're doing a very bad job and it's time to rewrite the script and try again until you're able to get them excited or at least talking about how they could use whatever it is you're offering.
I'm guessing your wife is alone, right? In her business.
Yeah, solo.
So again, the typical like would like to speak with the person responsible for marketing means no research has been done.
It's a conversation killer. If you're not going to do your research, then it's going to be really hard to start these conversations. If you're not going to prospect carefully, you're at a serious disadvantage. Let's wrap it up with this call to action. It says, if that's you, can we schedule a 20-minute video call next week on Monday or Tuesday to show you how we can help your business?
Part of me is just saying like, you're even so selfish that you're not available the entire week for me. I have to select just Monday or Tuesday. I know what they intend, like, helping them, make decision rather than giving the whole week. But then it just looks like I'm on his agenda rather than he's on mine kind of thing. So
yeah,
honestly, I mean, just take it like a few steps back and just ask, do you actually currently try to convert or to get clients from the internet? Or do you only have referrals word to word? Because if you get it from the internet, then maybe there is things we can help. Do you have a strategy for 2019? Do you have an internet strategy for 2019 to acquire new customers? I think that'd be a great conversation starter.
Have you gotten a customer off social media this year?
Oh, this is brilliant because, obviously, if you're not having customers coming from your Instagram account, then who cares that you're skyrocketing? It would mean nothing to the client.
Right.
If I got 5,000 followers and I don't get any customer out of that, then getting 50,000 is not going to get me any. I wouldn't see the value in getting more followers.
Yeah.
Right.
The last takeaway I have for this has nothing to do with the email copy, but the prospecting. If you haven't tried prospecting by, let's say, combing through Instagram or Facebook, like some of these marketers have done in today's episode, it might be worth a look. Certainly, if it's a B2C company, they're probably doing some social media, and it could be a good source for you to tap for prospects.
All right. Thanks, Jack.
Thanks, Jeremy. See ya. Hey, cold emailer.
Yeah, you.
If you got some value from this episode, give us a high five by sharing a 2-sentence review on iTunes.
Or Stitcher or TuneIn. That works too.
It's a quick way to help other growth-minded folks like us find this podcast.
So they can send awesome emails.
And make everyone's inbox a better place. Thanks.